All right, well, thank you for coming to the Women in Online Business panel. Thank you very much. Not sure how many of you know, but we did this panel last year. It went really well. It was it's informative, and it's also interesting to keep doing this every year because I guess the state of women in the online industry is rapidly changing, getting better in some ways, and challenging in other ways. And so the panels are completely different every time, which is really cool. For me, as I've probably mentioned before, this is important to me because in my career, women have played a pretty large role in my growth, in my learning, and I've been lucky to be surrounded by a lot of strong women who have a very different and clever approach to a lot of the stuff that I face as I was growing in the career world. So this has a small, special place in my heart, that's all. But before we get started, I would like to have these lovely ladies introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, and we'll start there with Priscilla, and you guys work your way down.
Okay, with the mic, or?
Oh yeah, you want to, let's give you the mic, sorry.
I have one here.
Priscilla, I'm glad to be here representing on live as the model ambassador of the company through the new Camming perspective. The new Camming perspective began with the perception that successful business care about returning customers. So I lived the experience as a model, and I started developing my own theory about the business based on the main concepts, building connections, and the social aspect of camming. This approach proved successful, and now it's ready to be applied by different models on live. So for the models who are interested to building connections with members instead of teasing for free, I'm here to coach you. So there's the folder, there's my card. Thank you.
Alright, hi guys, my name is Anastasia. I work together with Joy in New Media Services. We call ourselves as actually the back office for any company, and we work a lot with dating and adult, providing different technical services, communication, design, client.
Wow, I'm sorry, it's very hard to find.
I know.
And I like to make an entrance. So
That's true. Hello, Valerie.
Please join us.
Anyway, I don't have the business cards, but whenever you see me say hi, I usually like to talk to people.
Valerie, do you mind passing the mic so you can introduce yourself? Sorry.
hello everybody, sorry to be late. My name is Valérie Arton from Top One. I'm the co-founder, and right now I'm taking care of building the brand. So yeah, that's it.
Alright. Sorry, it's a big experience.
Go for it.
Hello, my name is Alice. I have 17 years in camming, first time like the model, and now I'm selling my services to the company, especially for the French campsites. I represent them in some summits, or I develop a product for them. And in another side, I have my own company to sell nylons, because I was a nylon fetish model before.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. I work for a company called Mojo Host. My job there is business development manager. Brad likes to call me his right hand, but I asked him not to do that because in this industry, that does not necessarily mean a good thing. That's when you're tired of the right hand and you're ready to switch. I actually do not have a technical education. I have a master's in journalism, but I have worked for technology companies for the past 7 years. So I have a lot of more tech side and also business development, client relations, all of those things would be kind of my specialty. I would also take care of problem mitigation on whenever there was a lot of clients that were unhappy about something. I tend to have a really good touch with that. So those are kind of my personal milestones. Mojo Host is a hosting company. So we are the infrastructure of this industry. We provide hosting for companies like Thrift for Free, Cap4, Penthouse, Mr. Spin now, and a couple of other large companies. We specialize in all sorts of very complex environments and have a lot of very technical personnel that can help you streamline your websites and businesses. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ophelia Marcus, more known as Little White Bunny. I've been a cam model for almost 10 years now, in April. Independent cam model, and since 2017 I also created my Little White Bunny Academy, which mission is to actually help by mentoring, doing training, coaching for both cam models, both studios, trainers, also advising and doing consultation for any company that has products and would like to have insights of their target. And also I've launched just now in mid-January the very first survey in the industry about cam models and studio owners to have the real data on the situation of the industry. And this is a project I will be doing every year to see the tangent of the industry in the future and to be able to help our condition and also the services and products for any company that is related to our industry.
I'm Joey. Hi guys. Thank you guys. So we'll get right to it. What's great about this group is how diverse they are. So the different perspectives and a lot of the sort of, I guess, a lot of different opinions and things like that they're all going to share, I think, are all valid and probably informal. So getting right into it, well, I'm going to start. I'm going to mix it up. We're not going to do this anymore. But common misconceptions that people have about working with strong women. You know, how do we combat some of those misconceptions? Has it gotten better? That kind of thing. Priscilla, you want to give me one?
I always have a lot to talk.
We'll start there then.
I came from the academic field, so I think at first we need to start defining the concept, strong women. It has a different meaning for me, it has a different meaning for you, it has a different meaning for you. In my concept, all women are strong women because we face misogyny in many moments of our life. We live in a patriarchal society that doesn't give the same value as men that gives to women. So we face it at many moments. But when it's related to business terms, I believe that it's true. I told that the adult camming industry was not giving the same value to cam models. And what happened? I got a job position. So my advice is to take the opportunity to come here and to don't be passive, to don't be docile, to don't be easygoing, to don't follow the flow, but to be active. Because we have two choices. We can make a choice. Or to be active and stimulate changes. Or to be passive and don't do anything. If we don't do anything, nothing's going to change. But if we show people what is happening, because we need men by our side. Half of the population are men, but who are running the business are much more than half of people. So we need them by our side, and they don't know what's happening with us. So we need to take serious this opportunity, like a seminar, to point out what's happening with us.
Okay. And so I guess we do agree, taking action is probably the best way to sort of combat that misconception. But the other ladies, what your views on, has that gotten better? Has the action so far helped the misconception?
Yeah, it's getting better.
Okay. That's good.
There's something actually I wanted to say about like strong women. I believe that every
person, it doesn't matter the man or the woman, like needs to have this luxury to be himself or herself. And usually the guys are really better in this. Like if they don't like something, like, you know, they just tell about it. Women usually prefer, in many cases, to be more comfortable, you know, not to say something extra, not to say something stupid, not to look somehow weird. My great belief is that everyone has the right to be himself or herself, and that's the main thing we all have to remember. And of course, yeah, the action, as my colleague said, is really important to speak, you know, for himself or herself. Again, it's like it's for every human. And answering the second question, like if I think the situation changes, I think it does. Even looking at the amount of women here at this conference, I started to visit, like to attend this conference 7 or whatever years ago. It was totally different situation. And I don't know how about my colleagues, but today, gaining all my experience, my expertise, my knowledge, I don't feel any pressure from men probably, or from other women, I don't know. I don't feel any negative attitude. And I believe, I believe that actually when you know what you're doing, you feel confident and everyone else respects it. I don't believe that the men are fixed, you know, it's not my belief. I believe it's more how you present yourself.
Some are, but also some women.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Me, I will talk only about my experience. And my experience when I wanted to change, I have a university degree, a high school commerce in France, you know, France, the system, school, is to study, you know, economical high school in France is very competitive. You have to be very smart to be in the top level. And me, I had my diploma when I was 35 years old. And I learned French when I was 35 years old. So we need motivation. And when I say I want to finish coming, but what I have to do, because I had a job in tourism area, so I do coming, I have a real job. I say what I know to do, what competence I have now after the years of coming. And I remember my first show when I meet Joy. And hopefully he was in a French company. I go to Joy and I say, I need your help. But he see in my eyes, I really wanted this help. If you don't come with your business plan, with your idea, to explain to the men from the industry, hey, I have this idea, I need your help me, you don't got anything. Only because to be a camber, it is an etiquette. And don't forget, every people from this summit do money only because you are online. I explained that to all the platforms. I explained to all the affiliate programs. And when they understand my speech, they're working with me. This is important, to do the pedagogy. And I think the condition of the women in other industry, in online industry, is changed only because we understand the pedagogy. We need to learn from what we know to do it, and we need to learn from another experience, men experience. So we can't work one without others, but we need more respect, especially for the campers, and I am here to fight for the campers' rights. And when Joy just say one word to the right person, I had my project in the European Summit for 4 years. So thank you, Joy, and thank you.
We've deviated from the question quite a bit, so I'm going to go back to it.
Go for it.
And I guess I haven't really worked for strong women in their Margaret Thatcher type of image, I guess, in the adult industry, but I have right before, or a few years before I got into adult, when I worked for a legal firm, which, by the way, I started working at 13. By the time I finished college, my resume didn't fit on 4 pages. So I started crossing things off because some of them are irrelevant. But I'm a certifiable workaholic. I think I have a certificate somewhere. I worked 4 jobs through college and ended up getting honors somehow. And about 2 hours of sleep every night. Going from there, I worked for a really strong woman in the Margaret Thatcher image kind of way when I worked for a legal firm. And you know what? She was a great leader. She was very demanding. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that she had built her own business from start off and still runs it very successfully and actually expanded to create several offices. So it's growing and I'm very happy for them. The fact that she is a woman hindered her, of course, because in the lawyer's world it's not exactly easy to get along being female. And there's a lot of misconceptions there, especially when you live in a country. By the way, my favorite example of that, the country I live in has a series of stores called Lip Gloss in a Bucket. And Lip Gloss in a Bucket is the store for everything a woman needs. And it has cosmetics and cleaning supplies. Yeah. Just so you know, so I live in a very stereotypical type of world where women are supposed to cook and raise children and men are supposed to work. It's maybe harder to get through, but I think if you are a strong person and if you have a strong personality and you're aimed at achieving something, and again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to cook food and raise children, absolutely nothing wrong. It's a choice that everyone makes. It just shouldn't be gender-based, I think. If you are strong and you want to achieve something in business, it's a matter of never looking at what is inside your pants and going through with it anyway. Whether you have a penis or not does not relate to. I wanted to say penis being on a panel in this industry, and I can't. But yeah, it really does not matter about your gender. If you want to achieve success, you will. And it's a matter of combating stereotypes is what we need to do right now. And also combating the actual... Sure. It's about combating actual problems as opposed to people who get offended that someone opens the door in front of them, which really doesn't matter. There's actual issues in the different industries and different businesses, including pay gap, including the fact that, for example, one of my favorite people in this industry and someone who I think is iconic. Yes, I know. Hold on, give me a second. I'm a little worried.
Alex. Hello.
I'm a woman
No,
in this industry.
I know. I'm just going crazy right now. I'm just not going to tell you because I'm going to tell you it's a secret. We went to a meeting, and she's actually the technical side of the entire business. And her partner, who's also her husband, is more of the marketing side of the business. So whenever they would go to a meeting, everything addressed regarding technology is going to be addressed to him by default. Because of that stereotype, and then she's just like, yeah, but I'm doing the API, and you're like, what? Sorry? And I'm doing the coding for that. And you're like, really? So it's just a matter of combating those stereotypes and combating actual problems in our industry, as opposed to combating people who open doors in front of each other, because that's common courtesy. Who wants? Sorry.
Yeah, I do believe that what I've seen so far in many different levels of the industry, the girls that I've seen, the women that I've seen being the most successful are some that were not afraid to speak their mind, go for their goal, but also understand the difference in communication. If you understand how, because we do things differently, we both have different strengths, that it's male or female, and we just see things differently. And if you understand, we also communicate differently, and we receive things differently. We understand it differently. So when Vicky, that.
I was drinking beer a moment ago.
So I do believe if you understand the difference in communication and you actually pay attention of how different it is, and then if you're able to communicate your idea, communicate your goals, and if you're able to surround yourself properly, and this isn't no matter of gender, it's any business person that wants to have a business, male, female, if you don't know how to delegate or surround yourself to have a good balance, I think that's the ability that's going to make you achieve higher. So to me, I find often the best combo is to have both a woman and a man, because you double your strength, because then you have a much wider range of knowledge, of abilities, and it's just double power your abilities.
I tend to agree with that as well. I think I've always appreciated having a woman as a counterpart for certain job roles, including my own, and that seems to help balance the skills quite a bit.
I think she wanted to say something. Just like, you know,
All right, so misconception of working with a strong woman. I would say people tend to think that strong women are stubborn and are not ready to compromise. I don't think it's right, because a strong woman is ready to compromise. Otherwise, it's just someone who is crazy and doesn't make any sense, and I don't call that strong. Every strong woman I have met have a good knowledge of who they are, of their strengths, of their weakness, and they know how to work on the weakness they have and how to work on the strength they have. Has it got better with the time? I would say yes, of course. There is much more role model now that we can rely on. Strong women that have leading enterprise, that are CEO of enterprise, and so they can give us good advice. It got better, of course. I think stereotyping is getting less and less important, and people finally admit that having a strong woman in your team, it's actually something very good, because it actually increases the ability of having emotional intelligence in your company, which is something very important. And enterprises that understand that have that superpower that women can bring to their enterprise. And I would say what action we can do as a woman to make things better. I would say, well, work on yourself and get to know yourself, and don't rely on anyone. And if for some reason you feel that the people that surround you don't respect you, well, don't work with them. That's all I have to say.
I remember something.
No, of course you do.
New Camming perspective is inspired Frankfurt School Studies, and Adorno said something very interesting in his book, Minima Moralis, Reflection from the Beige Life. He said that there was a misconception related to free behavior that people confuse a lot with rage behavior, and it's applied especially with women behavior when we're talking about strong women. So strong women are always fighting for what they believe in. So they have a strong position in their lives. So they talk about what they believe in. They are always fighting for their goals. And people usually think they are full of hate, they are full of rage. And Adorno explained on this book that it's just free behavior.
Okay.
And these characteristics, when you look to men, it's related to positive qualities that leads men to good positions in their business. So that's something that we need to pay attention to notice how our society is still so patriarchal.
Okay. Yeah.
I just wanted to say one little thing. I think a lot of women are not actually fighting. Like, a lot of people are just working to get their thing. It's not always a fight when you're into an environment that needs progress, everything. There's always a way that you can reach your goal with a positive thing. And I don't think it's a stereotype that girls are always fighting towards something. I think they're just working hard, like males work hard
I
also.
think it's
to
a
get to-
stereotype that when a woman acts aggressively, she's in the wrong stage at her cycle. That's a stereotype.
It doesn't only apply to women. I don't want to work with crazy men as well. Like,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I
Get curious though.
How
I
very
don't like to
dare
work
you.
with crazy people. That's it.
Yeah.
You could call that Latino, it's different.
I want to say something about this fighting thing. I think last year there was another, it was Jordan here in
Yeah,
Iran,
yeah.
and it was Prague, and she said we have to always prove ourselves. I think this is the point. This fighting thing is that we always have to prove that we are better than men on our positions, because it's not always, this is my personal feeling, always somebody kind of puts this me down or tries to do it, and I have to prove that I'm not there. I'm not like having less knowledge or less skills and stuff like that. So I think this I would call fighting kind of through those feelings.
It's also a balance, isn't it, to make it look like you're not trying to.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm gonna say to that? A lot of women actually think that it's a good thing that we are underestimated, because whenever we do something, it sees like something very good, and now
exploit that
people
quite
who are at the head of enterprise use that as a skill. You know, because they get to learn more information. People share lots more information with them because they take they think they're stupid, so they give a lot of information, so it allows you to.
I agree with you.
So you can use it as an advantage.
I still, except for this, I want to know that I don't need to prove
Of
it.
course,
Right,
you know.
right.
Yeah, but
of course.
anybody that tried to go higher, also in any industry, no matter the gender, you also have to prove yourself if you want to go higher. It's the same
But
for
even
men.
if you don't want to go higher, and you still have to prove yourself every single day.
But there's always competition in any
That's
any
gotta
world.
depend on who you're working with too, right?
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course,
No,
that too, but.
I'm not trying to make it a
Yeah,
double standard.
yeah.
But women also that do the same job, they still have to compete against each other too. Who's better, right? So you always have to do it.
All right, so.
I believe men need to face different challenges.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, we're gonna touch on that. You're right.
Men need to be independent, need to prove that they are successful all the time, otherwise they are weak. They need to hide their emotion, otherwise they are not man enough. Men also need to face, because it's not a good
There is in that
it's
place.
not that I need society to be to live.
So let me ask you guys this. This is a pretty good lead into the next question, and I think it'll be easier if we just go in order. This is crazy. So.
It's female organization.
It's not a hard society to live.
Stereotypes, yes.
Yeah.
What?
It's not a easy society to live in. My studies are based on Adorno, it's based on Bartolek, it's based on Edgar Morin, it's based on Zygmunt Bauman. We use the concepts related to liquid modernity. So, I mean, I am a little apocalyptic.
I get you, yeah.
That's a concept that we use it, but apocalyptic doesn't mean that the world's going to end. It means that it's the thinkers of society. And when you think about society, you come to the conclusion that it's not so easy to live it, because you expect too much for the girls and you expect too much for the men.
Okay, so how about
You can
this?
fail. You can fail. You need to be successful.
So-
Girls need to be successful. Men need to be successful. Everybody needs to be successful, and nobody cares about emotions.
It's true, though. Yeah. So, Valerie, this is for you, in the sense that right now, Turpon is essentially this company that's meant to be innovating, I guess, right? This is a sort of newly tapping some part of this industry that's still got a long way to go. And in terms of innovation, that also means you're paying attention to what's going on, what is needed around us, and the changes. So, with regards to the women's roles, and technology adaptation, all these things, how much, at least in your time in business, not necessarily only Turpon, how much has the industry changed for you since you started really becoming a real businesswoman?
In this industry?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I don't think it has to really be specific for the industry, but yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, actually, my background is I've been studying to be an actress. For that was my background. So I was not. I don't have like very heavy background like all those girls. You know, big university and all. You know, I was just an artist, and I got caught in the middle of a business orientation because of my husband presented me that project 3 years ago, and I thought it was brilliant. And I got inspired by that project at the beginning because I think there is a room now for bringing to the industry more wellness, more, I would say, consciousness of, is there a way to do that job in a healthy way? Is there a way to consume that kind of content in a more healthy way? Is there a way to somehow find some way to develop technology that will enhance the pleasure, that will make the experience more valuable for both sides? So that's pretty much. I can say that there is an opening in the industry right now for that because we're still there. So there is an interest for sure. You know, we're focusing more on virtual reality right now. We have some project developing some haptic technologies that will increase the pleasure of the final clients and that will facilitate the work of the models. So I would say the movement looks to be very slow, but it actually will become much faster. It's a movement that will have, how do you say, the inertia, you know, that with the time it will go much faster. So I think it will be a surprise for the industry, but there will be some adaptation to have. And there will be changes for sure. And women will be a big part of that, what I believe, because of our emotional intelligence skills. Right now, the future is more about the feelings. We want to increase the feeling. We want to increase the pleasure. And who's the best to know how to make people feel better because of our intelligence, emotional intelligence than a woman. So I think there will be more and more room in the future for the women. It will be a surprise for everybody. That's my belief.
Related to my job position, I started in the cabin industry in 2010 as a life can model. So the can site's responsibility was to give models a traffic, and the CAN model's responsibility was to keep this traffic in the site. That's what I call in my theory building connections. Nowadays, the dynamics of is much more complex. So it's expected for a CAN model to convert the traffic, to interact into live chat. CAN model can tease, can chat, do whatever she wants to. It's expected for a CAN model to manage social media, so she must be exposed online and offline. The departments of the CAN sites don't dialogue with each other so much, and they are analyzing graphics, numbers, and the competition. There's nobody else, besides I'm live now, worried with the human element of the question, of the equation. So how can a person sell entertainment, that means sell emotion, without anybody worried with the person who is selling this emotion? The new Camin perspective is worried with CAN models' emotions, is worried with CAN models' quality of life. We believe the new Camin perspective that's being supported with by life believe that CAN models can increase their earnings and their quality of life, having a communication scientist by their side. That's something that nobody was looking for until this moment, and we are offering this now.
So this is a contract.
That's something that has changed. Just simplifying the answer, because when I started, the responsibility of the site was to bring the traffic to CAN models, and the CAN models needed to keep the traffic in the site. Now it's expected much more from the CAN models, so they need to have someone worried with their quality of life to improve their earnings. The professional responsible to do it is a communication scientist. And MLive now have a communication scientist to offer the model coach. It's no paid servicing. Model just need to register in the site and have the coach. Okay?
Okay.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
So it's just essentially.
What has changed in the industry?
The changes in the industry, especially from in terms of well, general changes, but also your roles. You know, since you started, you've got an extensive background as well as Alice. That you guys go back, I think, more than 10 years. So you've probably gotten to see a lot of change in a number of ways, from inside, from the entertainment side, from the production side, management, these types of things.
Right. So before this company, I actually worked as the CEO in dating business. So Joy is right. My overall experience in these areas like around 10 years for now. And yeah, things change, right? Like everything changes. Nothing is stable. Nothing stands forever. Like when I joined this industry, the majority of women were either in HR, like human resources, or in marketing. And that's pretty much it. Today we see, I didn't work with the models we were dating, right? So I didn't see that side of the business. Today, as my colleague just told, right, we see people in tech, like development itself. We see actually C-level positions, like women. Yeah, it's still less, but let's not forget, let's not think that just men push us down and we cannot hold these high positions. We really work because we want to take care of, I don't know, kids, or we don't want to work at all. Some of us, like, we're different. So I believe it's also, for the majority, it's our choices, not someone else, that we are like we are, right? I'm here because I wanted to be here,
Right.
and my colleagues the same. And maybe there is some nice lady sitting at home with 5 kids, and she's there because she wanted to be with the kids at home. So it's our choices, and in general, the world becomes more understandable, I would say. So big companies create some kids-friendly environment. They give some maternity and paternity leave, so both parents can, take care, like time to time for the kids. So this is, I believe, the generic positive trend which is happening in the world, and all the rest, either we take this opportunity or not, depends on us. And again, either we create these opportunities. Again, why should we wait that someone will create this opportunity? Like, we need to talk about it. If I would allow my company to have both maternity and paternity leave, it's my job to talk with my boss and convince him to do it, and not him to come up with this idea.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my answer. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm a mother, I have 2 kids. like all the women in this industry, so we are mothers, we are businesswomen, but we come to forget in a summit or in another business meetings, we have to be more pragmatic. Only because we talk about the woman in online business.
Yeah.
And even if we are sensitive, we are mother, you have to be focusing our business. Because we have to take care about our image, about how to talk, with who we are talking, about our business plan. We have to work maybe 2 times more to do business with the men, because they know everything. They are very pragmatic. They know how to do it. And the problem maybe it is not only men in the online. It is Google friendly, it is SEO, it is all technical. So we need to think about all this stuff before to say I am a woman, I am in an online industry.
That's so interesting.
This is the technical knowledge, and we don't have it before. Maybe we spend 2 more times to learn about nights and nights. I stay maybe sometimes 30 hours only to read about SEO, about your product, about your VR, because I don't know, I'm not a technical. And the problem maybe are the women in the industry, not only in adult, in all. For example, we have, I think, a woman in tech, something like a very a club, only for the VA. I'm sorry. Why these women are need to be only the VIP, very close group? Where it is the equality about what we wanted? So if I demand of the men from the industry to be equal with them and to do business with me, and they do business with me only because I have a good product, they don't care if I am a woman. They care about the product, what they pay. But what about the woman? We don't do business between us. This is the problem. Maybe we have to take care about this first to talk about the men.
I love that, yeah. It's about all of us speaking the same language, essentially, whatever that language would be in business or whatever. I think that makes perfect sense.
Okay, so I have a few things to cover because you raised a bunch of topics that I want to cover, but I'm going to start with answering the questions. I'll make it super quick. The very first job I did in adult was actually user support for a Bukkake website. So I answered all of their technical questions, helped them fix things and everything, and that was an interesting exposure to the adult industry because every once in a while we would get somebody messaging me wanting to be a model because they love cum and pee on them and everything. That was a fun job, and then I eventually grew through the ranks and then got upgraded to sales, kicking and screaming because I really wanted to do the tech side and learn more about the technology. And then I got dragged into sales because they said, you're good at this, you should do this, and I really did not want to because my goal was to learn more technical things and maybe go into development to grow into other things. But you can't run away from your talents. So my very first trade show was this show, actually. It was in Sigis in 2012. It was about 600 people, probably about 3% female. And we exploited the hell out of it. Like, no, honestly, we did. It was so easy to come up to someone to start talking to them. They would think you're hitting on them and eventually you would sell them something. It's true. But I do, in terms of how the industry is changing, I really appreciate the fact that there's many more females participating in the business side. I also really appreciate and am very proud to also have taken a little bit of a part in bringing about the, how would you call it, emancipation, or I don't want to say much, but like the growth of the status of performers in our industry is tremendous. And as part of my previous job, I actually helped build a marketing strategy in this regard. And just as a small example, for one thing, is I made sure that this is viewed and this is understood by everyone in the company, and it's distributed through all marketing materials, that we would never say the term "our models," because we don't own the models and they are not ours, they don't belong to us. So we introduced other ways of saying that in terms of our, models who use the platform, as opposed to saying people who, that was something that I had to explain to every person in the company before they understood what it meant. But it was known and it was seen, and it actually, with little tiny marketing steps, we brought about the fact that now models are much more appreciated. They're also part of this business. They're also growing as business women. A lot of them are entering the business side and not only performing. So I think there's growth there. And covering the question of maternity leave, I'm a certified workaholic who worked from the hospital with birth and up to the last day of pregnancy, and then after a month of taking care of the child, I started working from home. I think, I remember my boss at a previous job calling me into their office and saying, "Natalie, we're sick of you. You're doing 80 hours a week. You need to stop." And I told them, "You don't understand, I'm a woman. Soon I will have different priorities. Eventually I'm going to get married, I'm going to have children, and I'm not going to be able to put in that work. So I have to prove myself now, while I have the opportunity." So there's that pressure that you have as a woman, because obviously nobody's going to take away your personal life. So there's a little.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like how about from your perspective now, especially as you're doing these tallies that you're gathering, information like that, you're probably changes, that type of thing?
Yeah, well, in the 10 years, I think change, like Livia was saying, things have changed. There's more, people expect more from the CAD model, but I think it's normal evolution too. Like there's much more competition than before, and I think back when I started, most people would just come online, make some money, and go offline. They were not necessarily as much full-time or as much like as a real full-time job. Now a lot of studios have the approach, well, are you serious about it? It's a full-time job. And because they have to fit the competition too, and they want successful people, and for that you have to do it. And if it's part-time, because they have a life, they'll accept or not, but they have to stay on the top of their business too, right? And that's just normal growth. And I think a lot of for independent model, yes, we had to do more things, but again, it's because you want to keep up and you want to remain successful. So I don't think it's necessarily a thing that is forced by platform or by anybody, just with your own desire, what is your own goal,
Yeah.
So some girls are happy to do part-time and spend time with their family, while other people are like, no, I want to study the top. And you also know it's a plan for the future, because you cannot be a CAM model forever. And I believe in the last few years, the first generation of CAM model, because normally the lifetime of a CAM model is not that many years. So I think a lot of generation now has going on, what am I going to do after? And a lot of girls became entrepreneur and they became businesswomen, and they were like, I'm going to do more. That's why we see more and more of these women having an actual studio, becoming trainer, or doing other things, or get hired by the company because they have knowledge from the field. They were working right there. That's valuable, and nobody can replace the knowledge of a CAM girl have worked so seriously for so long. So it's your ability to fit your own goals and to not feel you're never limited or forced, but how you can use all this for your own future. And then you have to involve, if you want to be serious and you want to step out of just being just a CAM model, it's your attitude too and your behavior. Do you attend events? Do you network with people? How you do it? How you present yourself? How people see you? So for me, I know in my life I've been, woman or not, people had a lot of respect for all the business endeavors I had that were beyond camming, and I think it's because the way I presented my project, the way I interacted with people, they could see I'm professional, I'm serious, and if I do something, I do it for real, and it's not just amateur trying to do something. Yeah. So if you're serious about yourself and you can communicate that, they'll take you just as seriously. I've been very respected by a lot of people. Okay. So I think that people are ready to let the woman grow a lot and have space there.
Yeah, it feels that way. Like it's more ready now.
Yeah, any platform, they want a studio. It doesn't matter if the owner is a woman or a man. They want the result. Does the studio make money or not? Yeah. Does she have her shit together, basically, right? Yeah. And that's for any business.
Okay, how are we on time? Okay. I only got through 2 questions, ladies. Anyways, then do we have closing remarks? Can we do that real quick? 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
We have 7 minutes. I can do it.
All right. Just your closing remarks. Anything you'd like to?
All right. So, I think we made like very interesting point, and I really like what you just said about like focusing on your goal and fixing your goal, fixing what you want to achieve in your life. Associate yourself with the right people. It's very, very important because it's a very tough business out here, and you need, as a man or as a woman, whatever, as a person, you have to associate yourself with the right person if you want to grow in this business or in any business. You have to know yourself, you have to work on your weakness and work on your strength. There is no other recipe for success from my point of view. Whether you are a woman or a man or transgender or whatever you are, you will face some challenges in your life. That's a fact, and you will have to deal with. The question you have to ask yourself is: are you ready to deal with? Are you surrounded by the right people? Or maybe you want a more quiet life. This is a possibility too. So then, just listen to yourself. Don't destroy yourself in something that it doesn't fit you.
Part of life.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's all I have to
Monetize
say.
your part of life with us. If you want
More part of life, monetize it with online.
That's it.
That's your takeaway.
I'll be really quick. My only recipe for for someone who, like, for the women who actually feels struggling in this industry or feel being disrespected here by someone else, do not think about it. Focus on yourself, focus on your personal and professional growth, and let your work results speak about you and from you. That's what I did. I came also to this industry and I didn't know anything about it. I came from absolutely different, perspective. And first I felt myself stupid, and I was stupid back at that time. And, things changed because I grew myself, I changed myself, and right now, of course, I don't think so, because, again, my results talk about me. So I would not recommend anyone focus on this man and women role. I would more recommend you to focus what you achieve, what you know, what you do best. Thank you.
From my side, just I want to say to everybody, women and men, just focus on your product. If you have a good product, everybody work with you. Is the point. And be serious. Believe in your goals. If you don't believe in your product and your goals, nobody believes. It's just. And just I want to thank you again, Andreas and Joy.
I will agree with everybody here, and for a takeaway, because we didn't get to that question, just a quick thing to think about. Think about the stereotypes that men face in their life, and think that it kind of evens out in the end. So that same stereotype lashes men as it does women. So that's just something that we have to work on together and to overcome over time. As to what you can take away, wake up happy. And that's how you live a happy life. Try to wake up happy and have good motive.
I said everything I have to.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.